Sambonani emakhaya. Igama lami always, you guys. Thank you very much for tuning in once again in this channel. So we are learning about finance, economics, accounting, zonke bonke. Understand? So guys, this is a continuation of what I was actually sharing with you guys last week about production-based consumption, of which it's very much useful for you guys to actually know this formula, understand, or maybe should I say know this methodology, so that it can actually help you in life, right? So we're talking about a production, we're talking about production-based consumption. So what I said on my last video, and if you guys want to check it out, you can just click on my profile, then you guys will go and check it out. This is my last video that I posted with February. Okay, so it will give you a greater perspective for you to actually understand what I'm actually talking about right now. Understand, yeah, it will give you a greater perspective, understand. But anyway, even if you don't want to go there, understand, you will understand it even now, understand. I'm just saying it's additional information that I added there that will be actually beneficial to you, understand. So as I said, a production based consumption, it is what actually determines are you actually moving forward, understand, to your financial prosperity, understand, to your financial goals, understand. Basically, a production, it's what we call the principal amount, understand. It's what we call the principal amount. Yeah, well, so your production is what we call the principal amount, understand. And maybe you're just asking yourself which principal amount, where it is actually derived, understand. A principal amount, you get it from your employment or your self-employment. For those who have started their own establishments, probably as a contractor or as a freelancer, understand. So it's within employment or self-employment, understand. And then, sorry guys, with consumption, I mentioned the other time, there are two things, two very important elements with consumption, of which you have to take note of, understand. And I did promise I'm just gonna explain just briefly what does the first one mean and what does the second one mean, understand. So the first one, it is rational spending. And then the second one, it is reasonable spending. Okay, so these are very important for you to understand, so that you will understand a production-based consumption curve that I'm actually going to share with you guys right now, understand. So before we can go to the curve, let me explain to you briefly what does the rational spending and the reasonable spending mean, understand. So the rational spending, in simple terms, I haven't came up with a definition as yet, understand, but then this is a very quick way of you to understanding what is Oluwethu talking about here when he says production-based consumption, under a consumption, rational spending, and reasonable spending. So starting with the rational spending, so rational spending is basically spending without an outlined plan, understand. So irrational spending, I can say in number one, it's spending without an outlined plan, understand. Let's say, for example, you've been wanting this Nicholas, understand, and then you probably just make a reckless decision, when you're passing down at the mall and be like, okay, you know what, let me just buy them, understand. That's a reckless decision, understand. You didn't plan for those sneakers, you only just had a thought. You're good, okay, I will buy this, understand? But then you didn't plan for it financially for that specific month, understand? That is actually part of Indoni of your rational spending, understand? Right? So I can make, different kind of examples, but you know what I'm talking about. And then in number 2, it is what we call spending on small cravings, I would say. Let me just say it like that. Spending on small cravings. So spending on small craving, guys, it can be probably, maybe clean, of which kukhona ukutya, yabo. And then you're like, okay, you know what, let me just buy McDonald's. You know what, let me just probably go to the shop and buy probably, I don't know, a bunch of snacks. Understand? So that is actually part of the outline plan. You would see, these are the small things, understand, that probably you could have planned. Okay, you know what, this month I'm gonna spend 2k or 2.5 on my grocery, and that's gonna be it, understand? Instead of you having these small cravings, of which these small cravings, they pile up, understand? And then when they pile up, by the middle of the month or maybe the end of the month, you'll see which, oh man, I thought I did my plan, but then there's something that is happening, understand? Understand? But you do not have an idea of which, okay, you know what, it's probably that coffee that I bought, understand? It's probably the takeaway that I bought at work, understand? So those are the small cravings that pile up, understand, and actually eat your finances, understand? So that you won't be away, understand, end of the month when you're actually doing a revision, on what actually happened, understand, if you really did what you actually planned, to actually do, understand? So those are the small cravings of which you should take, like you should be very attentive, understand, in actually identifying them, understand, on a monthly basis or maybe on a weekly basis, and being like, okay, this thing, I think I'm doing it each and every single day, and I should make sure that I actually prevent it, understand, right? So these are the small cravings. So this is rational spending, right? And then we're gonna go to reasonable spending. Reasonable spending is kind of opposite to irrational spending, right? Of which the first line, it's spending with an outlined plan. So let's say, for example, you wanted to buy a washing machine, you wanted to buy a microwave, understand, and then you plan prior, to actually, buying either the fridge or the microwave later, understand? And then when that happens, you are able to see, when you review your finances, at the end of the month, and be like, oh, okay, I made progress here, understand, right? And I did what I said I'm gonna do, understand? And now you do know, where did your finances actually go, understand? This is outlined spending. Where else can we go? If you don't actually do that, obviously it's gonna eat up your money, understand? So number 2, it is what we call spending on income generating assets. Okay, so spending on income generating assets, it's part of the long-term game, understand? It's like you're playing a long-term game, understand, and you're not playing a short-term game, understand? You're making your money actually work for you, understand, for the long term, for 5 to 10 years to 15 years, understand? Whereas whatever your plan is, understand? So you're playing that game, understand? Income generating assets, guys, they can range from maybe equipment, maybe real estate, and real estate is you can probably invest in 2 things. You can invest in physical real estate or maybe virtual real estate, which are EITs, understand? Or maybe you can go for either the stocks, EFTs, You know, like there are different kind of ways you can actually invest in income generating assets. It's not just in GMI assets whereby you can probably hire, understand, of which, you know, some of them are very much expensive, understand. So you can invest in these small income generating assets, you know, that will actually compound, you know, as years to come, understand. So this is reasonable spending, right? So to go quick on the curve that I want to share with you guys, which this curve, I call it the production versus consumption curve. Okay, so basically, kule curve lena, I want to show you how that's production and consumption correlate, understand. So on the vertical side, there is indoni what we call production, of which production we did discuss, which is a principal amount. And then on the vertical side, it's what we call consumption, of which consumption we did share it's between these, the rational or the reasonable spending, understand. So so I'm gonna put a 0 liner. Let me just put XY just in case. So let's say, for example, Konomundu who earns probably 5k, and Konomundu who earns 10k, and then Konomundu who earns 15k, understand. And then on a monthly basis, let's say, for example, they are spending maybe 2k, they're spending 6k, they're spending 8k, understand. So this is the production versus consumption curve, understand, of which will work for you, understand, to see where do you actually fit here, understand. So it's a curve that goes down like this, understand. So okay, let me just do this. Yeah, okay, no, it's okay. It's a curve that goes like this now, right? Let's say, for example, for this person who earns 5k, understand, this person probably spends maybe 6.5, understand. So we already know what this person is probably using a credit, understand, you know. He or she is not using a principal amount. It means this person won't be able to actually have a margin so that they can actually reinvest that money, right? So that it can compound over time, probably in 5 or 10 years, and it can actually have like a sort of like an advantage for him or her, understand. Then we have a person who earns probably like 10k, who probably spends around 5k, understand. So we know that this person has a margin of approximately 5k, of which is probably reasonable, understand. That different kind of expenses and costs that a person has to do on a monthly basis, understand. So your 10k leyo share a margin of a 5k, of which that person can actually use that 5k to actually reinvest that amount, understand. It means a consumption is not more than a production understand. This person is able to actually invest and actually see, you know, improvement, you know, in 5 or 10 years time, understand. So and then again, a guy who earns probably 5k, or a woman who earns 5k, and I spend probably 2k. This person has a greater advantage because now imagine is much greater, understand, than 50%, understand. It means this person can actually accelerate, understand, my investment work, and actually invest in income generating assets, of which those are the ones that I actually outlined on reasonable spending, understand. So your consumption will determine if you are rational or reasonable. Okay, so guys, this is what I wanted to share today, and we will talk more about this, understand. I will include other formulas that will make you actually understand on a greater level what I'm actually talking about here, understand. For now, if you have any questions, put them down there in a comment and we will talk. All right, for me, next time. Thank you.